once again to the Raelian View, and as always we have the amazing Dr. Brigitte Basilier and Thomas Kenzig with us to chat on today's subject. It's an interesting one today because we're going to be talking about censorship online and discrimination, really, which is what it is, because you censor one person's idea and you tend to side with another, so it's as much discrimination as censorship. So we will be talking about that, and what's kick-started this particular chat today is the activities of the Raelian movement around the world at this time, on this day every year, is the Go Topless campaign, which is a wonderful campaign that is conceived to remove the stigma of the nudity or the toplessness of women, whereas for men it is generally thought of as an okay thing to do on a beach or on a street or sat in a cafe. So let's open the discussion with Brigitte and Thomas and see where this chat takes us. Thank you.
They had a few in France. Yes, the funny thing, they asked the men to cover up as well. It apparently is like some municipal law that requires everybody now to be to properly dressed or whatever they
So we don't have the results we wanted.
Well, we have, because equal.
It's equal. We have it.
Equal treatment is there. It's just not, we wanted the equal freedom. That's what we want. Yeah. But I know that actually, Marco already told me that years ago. That's why they don't really do Go Topless in Italy, because apparently in Italy, in the city centers, so basically everywhere away from beaches and swimming pool, everybody has to have a shirt on. And that's why Marco told me they never do it, because it's already equal, just not the equality we want, but apparently that's in Italy like that. And now it seems to be that slowly creeps into other European countries like France.
To be fair, we don't do it in England because it is totally legal on all the statutes in every county in the whole of the country to be fully nude anywhere.
Oh, wow.
And it has been since like 1960 something. It's fully nude anywhere unless it is deemed as a lewd act, as in outside a junior primary school, creche, on a church steps. So they have those laws. And the last time we did Go Topless was outside the Houses of Parliament, and we had a lovely actress who came from LA. I don't know if you know I forget her name. She came over because she was English, and she did it with us in England. And she decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk from Houses of Parliament, from where the Prime Minister is, right the way up to Covent Garden, pop into McDonald's for a milkshake, and then walk down into the Tube, fully topless. And I was as well, because obviously I'm a bloke and it's easy for me. And we just walked up through the town centre, into McDonald's, people looked. No one was rude, no one was bad at all. But the police, we passed many police, because it's Parliament's main road where it is. And, maybe we passed bobbies and two coppers in groups of two, probably about 12 police, and they all just said, "Hey, how you doing?" They didn't stop us, didn't make comment. One woman said, "Can I have a photograph with you?" And she had a photograph with us, So, but yeah, we don't do it in England because it is fully lawful to be 100% nude, as long as it's not considered a lewd act. The only issue is always, and it's always the case, it's the people who enforce it. They can determine what they think is a lewd act, and if they decide me walking down a town, or with a lady topless walking down a town centre is a lewd act, then it's unlawful. That's the only problem, is it's how the law is interpreted. On the statutes, it's fully legal to be nude, but the individual policeman can interpret it in their particular way, and that's where we get into sticky ground. But you can't change that. That's just the way people enforce the law, and then it would obviously go to court and it would be found to be a lawful act. But you still get hassle from it. It's just legal. There's no laws to change in the UK for one thing.
Oh, that's really remarkable,
Yeah.
because in just across the channel in France, it's becoming more and more difficult, and even around the pools. I mean, I think French Raelians went there, and they were topless in the Paris pool, along the Seine, the river, and they were, although it's supposed to be legal there, they were asked to cover, and they went. I think it went all the way to the tribunal, or some kind of tribunal in Paris, and the conclusion was that it depends on the officer in charge. It's his own decision. He could definitely do that if he believes that, or she believes that something it's indecent.
Yeah, and that's the same. That's exactly the issue in England, is the way the law is enforced. Any particular police constable, male or female, can decide that it's not nice to be doing it here because they saw 300 yards away a baby or a young small child, forgetting the fact that it's primarily only women that are discriminated against, not men. It only draws attention. If I walk down the street in England with my shirt off in the high summer, no one would bat an eyelid. The police are only generally, attention is called to it when it's a woman involved, and that is a discrimination. There's no getting away from the fact that that's a discrimination. I have, nipples. I have mammary glands. What part of the breast is considered to be, lewd? I mean, most healthy children breastfed. It's not like it's a shock for a child to see a breast, or I hope it certainly shouldn't be, for a child. But as adults, I think we tend to become more puritanical and more afraid of, especially in today's society, doing anything that's not, politically correct. And what is politically correct? What is the right thing to do in this particular instance? And unfortunately, the law is enforced in many, many different ways, even though the law, certainly in the UK, I know it's different in other countries, that it is fully lawful to be nude anywhere as long as it's not considered to be a lewd act. But it's the same with any sort of discrimination, isn't it? I remember when when Musk took over Twitter and turned it into X, he said, that it's the death of censorship online. It hasn't been. I mean, right from the very beginning. I've got some stats here. A technology sort of website called The Verge, which they go into new technology that comes out, the latest release of the iPhone and what's happening on Twitter and the technical side of it. They have an article. I just did a quick search on Elon Musk, and it says, like in January 2003, X was sued for allegedly failing to properly moderate anti-Semitism. So that's not free speech. So they were forced by the governments to actually discriminate. January 2003, India suppressed a BBC documentary critical of the Modi government. March 23, India blocked users from viewing 100 accounts belonging to prominent people of opponents of the Modi government. In Turkey, there's so many. There's a list of Australia, UK, where the governments have intervened and told X to actually. So free speech online is a myth. It is a myth. It's a great sort of propaganda to say we're the free speech platform, but certainly it isn't X and it isn't Facebook.
And it's true that maybe Thomas could talk more about the US, and then because he's the one leading all activities there. But today, actually, we have a Go Topless, actually in Boston, I think, right? But what I was appalled by is that the advertisement of it, we had a little banner explaining that we have a Go Topless activity, and there was no one Go Topless. There was a female with showing her back, right? And that was suppressed, banned by Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, and also by X,
Yeah. Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah, and funnily enough, Elon Musk says by free he clarified because he was accused of stifling free speech. I mean, 100,000 pro-Palestinian tweets were taken offline, and there's so many instances of it that are alleged by credible websites. But Elon Musk qualified and said, by free speech, what I meant is that which matches the law. I'm against censorship that goes far beyond the law. If people want less free speech, they will ask government to pass laws to that effect. Therefore, going beyond the law is contrary to the will of the people. So he's saying by censoring, he is doing the will of the people, which is to allow free speech only to a point. But the problem with that is, at one point, slavery was legal, and to free a slave was illegal. Like apartheid was legal, and to go into a shared bathroom was illegal. It's illegal to hide, a Jewish dissident at the time of the 39-45 Nazi. There's so many. It was illegal to be homosexual, illegal to perform as a homosexual, as in to have a homosexual act. The law is often late in catching up with the will of the people, and I do think that, I mean, people do say that Rumble is free, and there are some free platforms, and I don't say that they're not. I don't question that, but certainly the majority of people are on the main Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X rather, and censorship is everywhere. It's rife. I regularly get. When I'm a bit provocative, certain posts that I put forward probe, anti the aggression of the Jewish military on civilians in Gaza, I often get things taken down and censored. I've been threatened to have my Instagram closed down. I've been told I can't monetize my Instagram, even though I've got enough followers on there, apparently, because of those things. So censorship is everywhere. It's everywhere. But for something as human and innocuous and as gentle as human nudity, or even not nudity, but just to be topless, it's bizarre to me. It's bizarre because I have nipples and no one cares. So if I get my nipples out, but Brigitte, heaven forbid you were to do the same.
So Thomas, how did it go in New Haven, and was that, remember, in Connecticut, right?
So yes, we had events in 3 cities. We were in New Haven, Connecticut, in Providence, Rhode Island on Sunday, and today in Boston. I think first of all, I want to maybe, since also for the many non-Raelian viewers, can explain why does the Raelian movement care so much about this topic, and I think it's important to remember that a prophet is first and foremost, he's a liberator. He's a liberator of the individual, a liberator of mankind. And then we talked about censorship before. So a prophet, by definition, he liberates people. And there's probably the freest people on earth are the Raelians, and we want freedom for everybody. And of course, when it comes to the body, I mean, the Elohim created us with certain body parts, and there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. If somebody is ashamed about the body, that being ashamed of the creators, right? That's would be the biggest biggest insult. So there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. We all, as soon as we're born, usually the first part we touch is our mother's breast, each one of us. And personally, I remember actually I grew up in Switzerland, and we went often to the municipal swimming pool with my parents. And I remember very clearly my mother was usually topless. And nobody, all my friends, my buddies' mothers were also topless, and it was a total non-issue. Some people say, well, you can... body parts can be erotic, yes, but so can it be a man's chest, by the way. So can be many other body parts. I mean, historically, if you look, There was some point women had to cover their knees, some of the ankles. In some cultures, even nowadays, cover the face, right? So this argument of a specific body part being erotic, it's a moot point because anything can be erotic. And for those who come up the argument of people not being able to control themselves if they see, let's say, a naked breast of a woman, well, for me, it's like if I had my garage door open, my car's in there, I'm not inciting a thief to steal my car because the garage door is open. It would be a totally stupid argument. Nobody would go for that. It wouldn't. Nobody. The criminal wouldn't be able to say, "Oh yeah, he incited the car theft because the garage door was open." No, that's not how it works. So, yeah. Interestingly, in the U.S., we had. All the events, so today is actually Go Topless Day, August 26th, so the Boston event is ongoing as we speak right now. And we had a good event in New Haven. I think it was in Providence where everything went fine. All the women were topless and the men too. And then another group, apparently a Christian group, they were not counter-protesters, but they had a march and they kind of ran into each other. And then some of these Christian women complained about the Go Topless female being topless. And so the police, who until that point, they just went along, didn't interfere. But because somebody complained, they end up taking the IDs only of the female topless protesters. So that's where we could see a clear discrimination. And I personally don't think it will go any further. They probably just did it to appease the Christians who were complaining. But I don't think the DA, the prosecutor, will bring a case there. And if they do, we'll happily defend that because obviously we been fighting for this equal right of women to be able to be topless since 2007 now.
This discrimination surely is illegal. It's discrimination to only arrest the women. It's just a matter of numbers, isn't it? How many men were there? How many women were there? Who was arrested? It's a discrimination case. Now it's not about lewd or or bearing your breast. It's why the authorities discriminating only against the women.
Yeah, and what is interesting is that it's the women asking for the other women to cover up, and it goes deep, right? And they don't realize that what we are doing is trying to free women of all these cover-up education. I mean, you have to cover, you cannot show this, and then we had to cover our ankles 100 years ago, otherwise we were considered as a slut, right? And then after that, my grandmother was telling me to cover my knees because that would be that was a terrible attitude to have a skirt above my knee, right? And so we have had to go over all this for so long. It's not a little action. And I remember when Rael started it, it was in 2007 at the time, and we were on vacation, quite a group of Raelians, and he was there too in Florida. And one of us, a woman who has been, it was American, but who spent a lot of time in Germany, went to the pool of the condominiums where we were staying. And she went topless because in Germany it was okay to do it at the time. So she didn't see any problem with that. The manager of the compound came and told her to cover, but himself was topless, and he had heavy breast, bigger than hers, and that's when we were laughing at that, and Rael heard that, and he said, well, we have to do something. It's not a little thing. It's not, oh, it's okay, just that we have to cover up, right? It's no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal, because the moment you tell someone, a human being, that it doesn't have the same right as another human being for no other reason that a different of volume, It doesn't make sense. It's not affecting children. Children is the first thing they have in their mouth is the breast of a woman. They are not shocked by that. You know, what is shocking is that somehow at one point we are told that we have to cover so that we can protect men and their desire. Is that really a reason to put women into, and cover them? And even I have to put something so that if my nipple shows through that clothes, it could be, maybe I will not be accepted in a plane, for example. I've had cases of friends like that coming in with a T-shirt. They were covered, but we can guess the nipple under, and they were asked to leave the plane. It's madness, and it's, yes, our breasts are sexual as much as our wrist and every part of our body, and it's great, and we should not change that. But to cover it because of that, no, certainly not.
I don't know, Brigitte, if you heard, a few years ago now, must be 10 or maybe 15 years ago, there was a march in London which the Raelians took part in. There was I think it was pretty much full turnout of British Raelians at the march. It was called the Slut March, and it was because I think it was. I'm trying to remember the details because I haven't looked at it for years, but I think it was a policeman. A girl was raped, and the policeman had said, "Well, she was dressed like a slut. That's why."
Yeah.
And it was obviously that's wholly unacceptable to say in any way that the way, that a man is in some way absolved from his obligation to self-control because of a way that a woman is dressed is bizarre, to say the least. But it stirred a huge reaction in people, and it was a massive march in London. It was totally well attended, and it just really says there's this a section of society that's completely out of touch with these issues. But I don't think it's the majority of society. I seem to think it's the slightly more those in authority that are out of touch with it, because they're the ones that are guiding the laws. Because otherwise, but it's hard to, otherwise it would be lawful everywhere. But having said that, it is legal in Britain. But I'm pretty much sure that that policeman that called the girl she was dressed like a slut would have discriminated against anybody doing a Go Topless campaign too. It is unfortunate that the law can be administered dependent upon the sensibility of the particular policeman.
I think it's interesting. Of course, laws reflect the general culture, but I think, to me, what happened in New England there this weekend, it speaks volumes that the fact that was because this Christian group, had this issue with seeing women topless, and for sure, the monotheistic religions, and especially Christianity, has done a lot of damage in that regard over hundreds of years, right? Not Jesus, as prophet of the Elohim, who was very comfortable with his body and the body of women too, but it's especially the Catholic Church. One example that comes to my mind, for those who remember the movie, I think it was called In the Name of the Rose. I don't know if you remember that, with Sean Connery. It basically shows him in the early medieval times. He has this apprentice monk with him and everything. And it was at the time, it was the Catholic Church was obviously totally against anything involving sex outside of the purpose of reproduction. They were even against laughter at the time. So it was totally to restrict any form of pleasure. And that's really what the Catholic Church has been trying to, in a way, to try to control people that way. Because when you control people's sexuality, you control the people, right? So this has very deep roots that unfortunately we still see come out nowadays. And really what happened in New England this weekend, it's exactly that, right? It's their upbringing which made anything related to the body as something dirty. It's actually interesting when in English there's the expression when people want to have sex, we say, let's get dirty. Why do you associate something very beautiful with dirt, right? So it's again, it's this Christian Catholic culture, and that's obviously Maitreya Rael. He did a lot of actions to take us out of these ultimately medieval type of mentalities.
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, it's the job of a prophet is to awaken people, and but it's such a long and slow, progressive, sure, but a long road, and obviously Maitreya has been on that road for many years now and doing a wonderful job. I mean, I certainly, obviously, because I've been the national guide president of the Raelian movement in England for 30 years or something crazy like that, and I've watched people come in. There was a girl, I won't mention her name, came in, and she was married, and her partner didn't come with her. He was very supportive of her coming, and she was so timid and unsure of herself, and just she went to a seminar, and we had our seminars in England and our regular meetings and stuff, and we don't talk about sex and nudity or hardly ever, but it's just the attitude of the people who are themselves liberated and not in any way, I don't know how to put it really, but you know, when something's forbidden, like don't go into that drawer, you kind of want to go into that drawer, and if something's forbidden, like seeing a woman's breast, you know, that in society makes it almost so tempting and so bad and so naughty to look at a woman and how she's dressed in her breast. And coming to the movement, this particular girl said she felt, although it's been accused of being like, you know, sex this and sex that and nudity this, she felt so safe because nobody had hang-ups about nudity. Nobody had hang-ups about her breasts or whether she was wearing her button was slightly too open, or, you know, she was wasn't done up to here. You know, she felt liberated. And over a period of, I mean, she was with us for 5 or 6 years. She left in the end and went on to other things. But when she left, she said she felt so liberated by her experience with the Raelians. You know, she said it completely changed her. And as a viewer watching her, she blossomed. She became such a self-confident, you know, kind of sassy woman, whereas before she was very timid and very, you know, locked down. And I remember, sorry to go on a little bit, but even Damien Marsig in the Netflix documentary that we did the first podcast on, said to himself, when I came to the movement, I was very uptight, I was a very oppressed person, and now he felt it liberated him. And each of the people who, you know, said the same thing on those documentaries. I think it's very, very telling that the teachings of the Raelian movement, the attitude towards sexuality, nudity, you know, are liberating. They're not oppressive. They help people. They help people with their self-confidence and their mental health, with their physical health. It's a wonderful philosophy, and Maitreya's been doing this teaching for years, and you've been right at the forefront of that, Brigitte. You know, as a teacher in the movement, its legacy is huge. It's huge. Even people who have criticised us because they've left for whatever reason, you know, and there are many reasons why people leave and stay and then eventually come back. Mostly, they almost all of them say, yes, it really helped me liberate myself, really helped me with my self-confidence, really helped me with my. So it's a shame that there is censorship around such gentle, liberating, and certainly for women and for men, positive events such as Go Topless.
So let's have as many women next year on Women Equality Day in the streets and boobs out and just enjoying the nice weather. Because that's what it is about. It's just being free to be to do whatever man can do. And then let's free them. Yeah. That's the slogan of Go Topless is free your breath, free your mind, and it's so true. So we have to have as many women try it, and it's a liberating event for sure. Yeah.
Yes, I remember one thing I loved about the kind of the thing that really, when I first saw the campaign, it really made me think. There was a woman stood next to a man. The woman was topless, and the man was wearing a bra, basically a bikini top, because he has the same thing she has. His he was a man of ample breast, and herself, they were roughly breast-wise around about the same size, but he was now wearing the bra, and she was, or the bikini top, and she was the one that was free. Just it puts it into such a ridiculous thing that why would I have to wear a bra? I think that aspect of it, when that's done as part of the campaign, is a very awakening thing that men would never think about covering their nipples. Never. So well done, thank you. It's a very interesting conversation. Thank you again, Brigitte and Thomas. As always, hugely interesting and informative, and we look forward to seeing you again next time, whatever the subject is then. Thank you.